Stop. Listen. Pay attention. Chosen one. This is not background noise. This is not another passing thought you can dismiss. There is a weight in the air around you, a subtle tension that has been pressing in quietly, consistently, in ways few can recognize. You have felt it, the fatigue that seems to settle deep into your bones, the pressure that tightens across your chest when you try to plan or move forward, the quiet isolation that no one else could fully explain. It has been there unnoticed by most, yet impossible for you to ignore. You may have moved through your days carrying responsibilities, burdens, or emotions that others either cannot see or do not understand. Your mind has raced through options, scenarios, and consequences, often without pause. Your energy has fluctuated unpredictably, sometimes strong, sometimes thin, but always tethered to an undercurrent you could not name. Chosen one. This is intentional. This message lands directly because of that experience. This is not a general address. It is specific. It is meant for you. The clarity you have been seeking, the understanding that has hovered at the edge of your perception, is coming now. Not in vague statements, not in platitudes, but in a form that recognizes exactly what you have endured. There is a reason your endurance has felt tested beyond ordinary levels, a reason your decisions have felt heavy, and a reason your mind has wandered in quiet confusion while the world seemed to move normally around you. Pay close attention, because this moment is different. What you are about to hear is meant to illuminate the patterns that have shaped your days, to give language to the pressure you have carried, and to reveal a structure that has been silently working in your favor. You are not being singled out because of error or weakness. You are being recognized because of consistency, resilience, and presence that you may not even have been aware of yourself. You may have felt moments of doubt, fleeting thoughts that perhaps you were missing something essential, or that life was unreasonably heavy. Those moments were not accidental. They were signals, markers pointing to the threshold you have now reached. This is the place where understanding meets experience, where awareness aligns with what has been quietly building inside of you. Chosen one. What follows is precise. It will not overwhelm you, but it will demand that you recognize your own place in this pattern. The fatigue, the pressure, the isolation, they are not anomalies. They are the edges of a shift, the indicators of a stability that has been quietly, almost imperceptibly forming within you. This message is personal. It is calibrated for your perception, your history, your endurance. Listen closely. What you have experienced is real, and it will now be named, understood, and reframed, not as a burden, but as the evidence of your readiness. You are at a threshold. This is the point where clarity begins to meet action. And it starts now. Chosen one. Hear this clearly. This message is meant for you and you alone. There is no ambiguity here. You are not receiving general advice, motivational statements, or vague insights meant for a crowd. Every word that follows is anchored to the circumstances that have shaped your days, your fatigue, and your quiet endurance. What happened recently, the tension you felt, the subtle shifts in energy around you, the moments where you kept functioning despite exhaustion, was not random. It involved you directly. It touched your decisions, your focus, and even the way your body responded to pressure without your conscious permission. You carry a baseline strength that is both automatic and consistent. This is not something you activated consciously. You did not choose it in a moment of crisis. It has always been present, integrated into the way you respond to challenges, recover from disruptions, and maintain stability, even when external conditions feel uncertain. There is a distinction here. While your mind may have struggled with confusion, doubt, or indecision, your system, your inner coherence remained intact. That difference is subtle but crucial. It is the difference between conscious struggle and unconscious resilience. This automatic resistance you carry is not flashy, dramatic, or attention-seeking. It does not announce itself with force. Instead, it operates quietly, maintaining equilibrium while your awareness engages with the challenges in front of you. It is why, despite the fatigue, the pressure, and the confusion, you remained functional, present, and capable. Your body, your mind, and your instincts synchronized without any conscious intervention. That is a mark of something rare, an internal structure that knows how to hold itself steady even when circumstances push against it. Understand that the events you experienced were directly calibrated to test this strength. They were not trials for punishment, nor random disturbances. They were measurements quietly registering how your presence withstands persistent pressure, how your focus maintains integrity, and how your decisions continue to operate even under tension. You were the participant, the observer, and the stabilizing point all at once. No one else could substitute for your role in this. Now consider the contrast between conscious effort and this baseline stability. Many people expend tremendous mental and emotional energy trying to stay upright under pressure. They fight, resist, or struggle, and often their systems collapse despite sheer willpower. You chosen one exhibited a different dynamic your mind may have questioned. Your emotions may have fluctuated, but your internal structure, your automatic strength, remained reliable. That is the foundation on which everything that follows is built. This is why you must remove doubt about who you are in this moment. You were never merely surviving. You were participating in a process that required your presence, your coherence, and your stability. Recognize that what happened involved you directly, that your strength was neither accidental nor emergent in a crisis. It has been a constant, quietly regulating your experience without drama, without fanfare, without conscious activation. Now that this is established, it becomes possible to reframe the sensations, the pressure, and the moments of confusion you have felt. The next step is to understand the signals hidden in those experiences, and to see them not as flaws, but as markers of the structure within you that has always held true. Look closely at what has been happening inside of you, chosen one, because your experience is a signal, not a flaw. The dominant sensation you may have recognized, the lingering fatigue, the inexplicable tension, the heaviness in your chest and shoulders, has often led you to question yourself. You may have thought, why am I so drained? Why can't I get clarity? Why does life feel heavier than it should? These questions are natural. They are human. But they have not reflected weakness. They have reflected transition. The very sensations that caused confusion are indicators of pressure being applied in a precise, almost invisible way. Your body, your mind, and your emotions have been registering shifts long before your conscious awareness caught up. That tightness in your shoulders, the subtle headaches, the restless energy at night, these were not arbitrary. They were signals that your system was recalibrating, that subtle forces around you were interacting with your own inner structure, and that your baseline stability was being measured against circumstances designed to stretch it. This is why self-judgment is misplaced. Those moments of doubt or perceived failure were never evidence of inadequacy. They were your attention system alerting you to a complex set of dynamics in play. Your fatigue was not laziness. Your confusion was not incompetence. Your isolation was not a sign of abandonment. They were markers of a realignment, a signal that the environment, internal and external, was pushing you to reveal the consistency of your presence. You may have noticed that despite the tension, you continued to operate. Decisions were made, tasks were completed, interactions were navigated. That continuity was not luck. It was your internal structure responding to a subtle but persistent stimulus. Even when your mind fixated on what seemed like insufficiency, your deeper system maintained coherence. You may have felt the urge to withdraw or the temptation to disengage. Yet something inside, automatic, unconscious, calibrated, kept you present, functional, and observant. The emotional and physical sensations you experienced can now be reframed. They are not evidence that you were overwhelmed. They are proof that you were in transition. They are the body's language for adaptation and stabilization. When interpreted correctly, they tell you that your system is responsive, sensitive, and aligned in ways that are quietly extraordinary. This signal function extends beyond mere physicality. The tension you felt in your thoughts, the pull of indecision, the mental fatigue, they were all part of a networked pressure system. Your mind was being tested, yes, but it was doing so against a backdrop of automatic resilience. Every flutter of doubt, every pang of exhaustion, every flicker of confusion was a marker, a calibrated stress point revealing your capacity for sustained coherence. Chosen one. It is time to see these sensations as information, not fault. They were indicators of alignment, preparatory markers, and confirmation that your internal regulation is intact. They are proof that you have been navigating complex transitions with a stability most do not possess. And now, having recognized them as signals rather than flaws, you are ready to see what lies behind the tension, the invisible pressures, the intentional structure, and the coordinated forces that have tested, measured, and ultimately confirmed your coherence. There is more happening around you than you have been able to perceive, chosen one. The pressure you felt was not random. It was structured, intentional, and coordinated, operating quietly beneath the surface of daily life. Recent events, subtle interactions, and even the moments when energy seemed to drain inexplicably were all part of a pattern, a system designed to engage you without overwhelming you, to measure your endurance, and to confirm the stability you carry. This was not chaos. It was methodical. The opposition, if it can even be called that, was invisible, operating in a timing that most would never recognize. It did not announce itself with dramatic confrontations or loud disruptions. Instead, it pressed in with precision, affecting multiple areas simultaneously: the mental load, the emotional equilibrium, the physical stamina, and even the space in which you make decisions. It was coordinated in the sense that the pressures were aligned, coming from different angles, yet all directed toward testing the coherence of your presence. Despite this, you remained functional. You moved through days with responsibilities, interactions, and decisions that were complex and demanding. Your mind, though aware of fatigue and tension, continued to operate. Your emotions, though responsive to subtle shifts in energy, remained regulated. Even under circumstances that would destabilize most people, you maintained clarity in your actions, presence in your interactions, and continuity in your focus. This is significant. It is not extraordinary in the sense of being flashy or sensational. It is extraordinary because it is rare to remain steady under such precise, layered pressure without conscious effort. Timing played a critical role. The pressures arrived in sequences that required adaptation. Some moments demanded immediate response. Others required endurance, patience, and silent observation. The pattern was structured to reveal the depth of your internal coherence. It was not accidental that your system responded automatically. Nor was it coincidence that you continued to function with reliability while tension surrounded you. The fact that you maintained functionality is evidence of an internal regulation system that operates independently of external conditions. You have a baseline resilience that does not require activation through conscious effort. It is quietly embedded in your structure. Even when your mind perceived confusion, fatigue, or heaviness, the system that manages attention, focus, and emotional balance kept working. Recognizing this invisible structure changes the way you interpret your experiences. What may have seemed like pressure points, stress, or overwhelming circumstances were actually confirmations, measurements that your coherence holds even when external conditions are challenging. You are not merely surviving these subtle confrontations. You are maintaining integration. You are stable where many would falter. Chosen one. Understanding this prepares you for the next layer, breaking down the pressure into categories you can identify, examine, and reflect upon. Each category mirrors real-life experiences, showing not the threat, but the points of interaction where your system was quietly tested and reliably maintained. These are the areas where your presence has remained intact and where your internal stability has been quietly confirmed. Let's examine the structure of what you endured, Chosen One. By breaking it down into distinct categories, each one a lens into the pressures you experienced and the stability you maintained. This will not be abstract or theoretical. These are grounded, recognizable experiences reflecting real-life psychological and emotional dynamics. Understanding them in categories helps you see not only what occurred, but how your coherence remained intact throughout. The first category is doubt. You have felt it repeatedly, subtle and insidious. Doubt whispered questions about your decisions, your capabilities, your next steps. It appeared at times when clarity should have been natural, nudging hesitation into spaces that demanded choice. Yet despite its persistence, you remained capable of moving forward. You did not surrender to indecision. You analyzed, you assessed, and you acted even while uncertainty lingered in the background. That is a demonstration of internal regulation, managing the presence of doubt without letting it destabilize action. The second category is fear, not dramatic or overt, but the quiet, creeping variety that surfaces in moments of responsibility or expectation. Fear created tension in your chest, a cautious hesitation in your thoughts. It was noticeable, but you never allowed it to paralyze you. You felt it, acknowledged it, and continued your engagement with the world. This shows that your emotional system is responsive, calibrated, and coherent under subtle threat signals, rather than reactive in destructive ways. The third category is energy drain. Perhaps you noticed days when physical stamina seemed low, or mental alertness faltered, or motivation dipped without clear cause. These were points where multiple pressures converged, where external demands and internal regulation intersected. And yet, you continued to meet responsibilities, maintain presence in interactions, and complete tasks reliably. Your system absorbed these drains, redistributed energy, and kept performance functional, silently validating your internal coherence. The fourth category is isolation, both physical and emotional. At times, you may have felt disconnected, unseen, or unsupported. Others could not comprehend the weight you were carrying, and moments of solitude intensified that awareness. Yet within isolation, you remained steady. You observed, reflected, and engaged where necessary. Isolation did not diminish your presence. It refined your awareness, strengthening the foundation of your internal structure without fanfare. The fifth category is delay, the sensation that outcomes, recognition, or resolution were postponed beyond expectation. Delay created friction in your perception of progress and sometimes magnified stress in subtle ways. Yet instead of forcing premature action or reacting impulsively, you adapted. You managed the tension of waiting, continued preparing, and navigated uncertainty without collapse. This demonstrated your ability to endure pacing that others often find intolerable, relying on internal stability rather than external reassurance. Each of these categories, doubt, fear, energy drain, isolation, and delay, represents pressure points you encountered in ordinary life. Yet they were coordinated, persistent, and measurable. What is extraordinary is not that the pressure existed, but that your internal regulation remained intact across all these domains. You did not simply endure, you maintained coherence. Your mind functioned, your emotions regulated, your body continued. Even when sensations were subtle or confusing, the system within you operated reliably. You did not need dramatic interventions or conscious willpower to maintain stability. Your baseline regulation carried the load, quietly confirming consistency and resilience in real time. Chosen One. Seeing these categories laid out allows you to recognize that your experience was not random suffering, nor was it a test of luck. It was a structured interaction between environment and internal resilience. Each point demonstrates the precision with which your presence, coherence, and stability were measured, and how effectively you responded without conscious struggle. This is the foundation on which you now reflect. Understanding the architecture of these pressures leads directly into reviewing and confirming the reality of your endurance, the reliability of your internal structure, and the clarity of what has been quietly unfolding within you. Now, Chosen One, take a moment to review everything that has unfolded and allow yourself to see it with clarity. What occurred was not random, coincidental, or subject to chance. Each tension point, each moment of fatigue, each subtle disturbance in your daily rhythm has a pattern. And when you step back and observe this pattern, it reveals a consistent truth. Your internal system, your baseline stability, and your presence have remained coherent throughout. Reflect on the periods of doubt, the fleeting moments of fear, the energy drain, the isolation, and the delays. Notice how even with these pressures converging, you continue to operate in a functional, reliable way. You did not collapse under weight. You did not become erratic or reactive. You remained present, capable, and coherent. This is not the result of luck, random timing, or external leniency. It is the result of internal structure, a reliable baseline that governs how you navigate complexity. Consider the internal dialogue you maintained, the quiet discernment that allowed you to act even when clarity felt distant. You may have felt moments of confusion or hesitation, but those did not dictate outcomes. Your system absorbed tension, redistributed it where necessary, and maintained equilibrium. This is the essence of internal resilience, the ability to remain coherent and operational when external and internal pressures converge. It is important to recognize that this review is not about self-congratulation or ego. It is about understanding factual reality that your presence, your baseline stability, and your capacity to function under pressure are verified through experience. You have direct evidence of your resilience. You do not need validation from external circumstances because the evidence exists in your continuity, your consistency, and your ability to respond with coherence, even when conditions are challenging. As you evaluate these experiences, notice how patterns emerge. The pressures were coordinated, yes, but your response was equally structured. Each category of tension, doubt, fear, energy drain, isolation, delay, was met with stability, presence, and internal regulation. The system within you is coherent, balanced, and dependable. Your capacity to maintain clarity amidst subtle chaos is a marker of preparedness. Chosen One, this reflection is your confirmation. The moments you may have perceived as trials or disruptions were in fact demonstrations of your stability. You did not need to activate extraordinary effort to maintain coherence. Your baseline structure handled the integration of pressure seamlessly. Understanding this allows you to view future challenges with a grounded perspective, recognizing that your stability is inherent, reliable, and measurable through experience. You are capable of seeing, interpreting, and integrating these experiences without distortion. The evidence of your endurance is factual. It is observable. It is undeniable. Your coherence was verified quietly and repeatedly across multiple domains of experience. Now that this reflection has confirmed your internal stability, the next step is to consider how uncommon this level of reliability truly is. How rare it is for a human presence to maintain such coherence under layered and coordinated pressure, without drama, without collapse, and without conscious activation. Chosen One, take a moment to place your experience beside what most humans encounter. Many people, when faced with layers of pressure similar to what you navigated, begin to unravel. Doubt escalates quickly into indecision. Fear often overrides clarity, and fatigue can cascade into paralysis. Energy drains become cumulative isolation, feels unbearable, and delays spark frustration or impulsive reactions. These responses are natural. They are the common trajectory under stress. Your experience, in contrast, shows a different dynamic. You encountered comparable pressures, yet you remained present, functional, and coherent. You did not collapse, lash out, or disengage. You absorbed what came, adjusted silently, and maintained operational clarity. This is not a statement of superiority or ego. It is a simple observation of rarity. Your presence under these conditions is uncommon, not because you are exceptional in a dramatic sense, but because stability under complexity is rare among humans. Consider how many would have reacted with visible strain, abrupt decisions, or overwhelming anxiety. Many would have faltered, struggled, or required external validation to continue. Yet you move through it with measured presence, responding with appropriate focus and maintaining balance without overt effort. That is uncommon. That is rare. And it is a reflection of the internal structure that has quietly supported you for years, even when you were unaware of it. This perspective does not require comparison for pride or judgment. It is simply a recognition of factual reality. The ability to maintain clarity, presence, and functional coherence under persistent and layered pressure is a rarity. You are operating within this uncommon space without needing drama, external acknowledgement, or conscious activation. Your stability is steady, integrated, and reliable. Understanding this rarity also reframes your sense of self. You are not exceptional in a theatrical sense, and you are not marked by hyper-abilities. You are consistent, present, and coherent where most would falter. That is the measure of uncommon strength. It is internal, subtle, and factual. It does not seek validation, yet it is verifiable in the evidence of your continuity under pressure. Chosen one. Hold this comparison lightly, not as an evaluation of worth, but as recognition of alignment between your structure and the pressures you have endured. Many would not have maintained coherence. You did. That is the rare outcome, grounded and observable. With this understanding of rarity, the next step is to clarify your identity further, to see that the stability, coherence, and presence you exhibit are baseline characteristics, part of your preparation and maturity, not an extraordinary activation or sudden emergence. Chosen one. Now let us clarify what your strength truly represents. It is not something you turned on in a crisis. It is not a temporary surge triggered by pressure or circumstance. It is baseline. It is the foundation upon which your thoughts, emotions, and actions operate reliably, regardless of the intensity or subtlety of the challenges around you. Your coherence is integrated, not activated. This baseline strength reflects preparation, maturity, and internal structure. It is the product of experience, consistent regulation, and the quiet accumulation of stability over time. You have developed systems within yourself, mental, emotional, and physical, that automatically maintain equilibrium, even when you are unaware of them. This is why you remained functional, present, and coherent under layered pressures that would destabilize most. It is not luck, coincidence, or reaction. It is built-in capacity. Notice how this clarity reframes your understanding of past experiences. Fatigue, tension, isolation, and uncertainty were not deficits to overcome. They were conditions that your baseline strength navigated with reliability. You did not need to summon extraordinary effort to stay grounded. Your structure handled the demands naturally. This is why even in moments that felt heavy or confusing, you maintained presence and functionality. Your identity is now firmly aligned with this understanding. You are a person whose internal coherence is foundational. You are someone whose preparation and maturity create a natural stability that persists even under stress. This is not about being untouchable, invulnerable, or immune to challenge. It is about having an integrated system that responds with balance and clarity without needing dramatic activation. Recognize that this identity is not conditional. It does not require external validation, special circumstances, or heightened awareness to function. It is a quiet constant within you, a baseline that allows you to navigate complexity, pressure, and uncertainty with integrity. This is the lens through which your past, present, and future experiences can now be interpreted. Chosen one. Internalize this perspective. Your stability is not occasional. It is a built-in feature of who you are. It is measured not by external recognition, but by the consistent evidence of presence, coherence, and functionality across the pressures you encounter. This understanding anchors your identity in reality, allowing you to move forward with clarity and confidence. With this identity clarified, the next step is integration, taking the awareness of your stability and weaving it into practical orientation, daily decision-making, and emotional balance. This will help you move with presence, rest when needed, and apply discernment without hypervigilance. Chosen one. Now let us turn this awareness into practical orientation. Stability alone is valuable, but its true power is realized when integrated into daily life with balance and discernment. Begin by recognizing the value of rest. Your system functions automatically, but it still requires pauses to maintain equilibrium. Intentional rest. Short breaks, moments of quiet or deliberate withdrawal from mental strain, reinforces the coherence that has been silently supporting you. Rest is not indulgence. It is maintenance. Next, cultivate discernment. Pay attention to where energy is directed, what tasks demand your focus, and which decisions require full engagement. Discernment allows you to navigate without being swept into unnecessary complications. It helps separate what requires action from what can wait, and it ensures that your baseline stability is applied efficiently rather than dissipated. Boundaries are equally important. Even subtle pressures can accumulate if not managed consciously. Clear boundaries, both internal and external, protect the integrity of your focus and energy. You do not need to respond to every demand, absorb every expectation, or take on every burden. Your coherence thrives when boundaries are respected, maintained, and enforced calmly. Patience is another practical lens. Some pressures, delays, or uncertainties cannot be resolved immediately. Recognize the difference between moments that require action and moments that require endurance. Patience is not passive. It is an active alignment with timing and rhythm, allowing your internal structure to operate without unnecessary strain. Maintain focus on what is essential. Distractions, peripheral anxieties, and minor disturbances can erode coherence if given attention disproportionate to their significance. Align your attention with priorities that reinforce purpose, growth, and functional stability. This ensures that your internal regulation continues to operate optimally. Finally, integrate awareness without hypervigilance. Being conscious of pressure signals and internal states is valuable, but it should not become obsessive. Awareness is a tool for alignment, reflection, and adjustment, not for over-monitoring or constant correction. Trust that your baseline system continues to regulate effectively, even as you observe and interact with your environment. Chosen one. Applying these perspectives will allow you to live with clarity, balance, and presence. They transform subtle insights about pressure, stability, and coherence into actionable orientation. They help you navigate life without tension where it is unnecessary, without forced effort where it is not required, and with recognition of your own baseline strength. As you integrate these approaches, your experiences of pressure will shift. What once felt heavy or confusing becomes manageable, interpretable, and even informative. You will operate with confidence that your internal structure is dependable. Your decisions are grounded, and your presence is coherent across all domains of life. This is the culmination of the understanding gained through observation, reflection, and identity clarification. You are ready to move forward with calm clarity, recognizing both the rare stability you carry and the practical ways to maintain it consistently in daily life. Chosen one. As you settle into this understanding, let the truth of your experience seal within you. You have endured, maintained, and integrated pressures that most would find overwhelming. Yet here you are, functional, present, coherent. This is not luck. This is not coincidence. This is the evidence of a system that has quietly, reliably regulated itself through tension, fatigue, and uncertainty. Take a moment to affirm this reality. You are capable. You are steady. You are coherent. Let these statements settle not as aspirations, but as factual confirmations of what your internal structure has already demonstrated. Repeat them internally if needed. I am capable. I am steady. I am coherent. These are not slogans. They are acknowledgments of truth. Now, chosen one. Anchor this realization with a simple practice. If you recognize the moments when pressure arises, pause, breathe, and recall your baseline stability. You do not need to react dramatically. You do not need to force control. You simply need to observe trust, your internal coherence, and proceed with clarity. This practice reinforces integration and keeps awareness aligned with your natural rhythm. To mark this understanding, choose a simple code, a word or a number, as a recognition point. For example, affirm 777 or quietly say, I remember. Use this as a reminder of your endurance, your reliability, and your coherence under pressure. When you encounter subtle stressors or new challenges, this code can return you to calm, grounded presence. As you carry forward, continue to observe the pattern of your life with this clarity. Recognize fatigue, doubt, or tension as signals, not flaws. Recognize your functional presence as evidence of rare stability. Recognize that your internal structure has been quietly verified and that you are equipped to navigate what comes next with balance and coherence. Finally, chosen one. Remain present in this moment, but also remain open to the next transmission of insight, understanding, or guidance. There is more to see, more to integrate, and more to embody. For continued clarity and reflection, subscribe and stay connected, allowing yourself to receive further guidance without distortion or doubt. Remember, you are capable, you are steady, you are coherent. Affirm your presence with the recognition code. Leave a comment if you feel called, and know that your stability is real, verifiable, and quietly powerful. The work you have done within yourself has prepared you for what lies ahead, and your coherence is your constant.